Hey everyone, I'm Veetika and I'm the Senior Product Designer for Verify CI at GitLab. And today in this video, I wanted to share the outcome from a very recent effort that we had conducted to evaluate the maturity level of CI. All right, so let's get started. So how we started off was we started off with selecting two of all the listed jobs to be done that we have in the handbook for continuous integration group. And those two jobs to be done were, number one, trigger a pipeline, which is the statement for this goes like, when integrating my code into a repository, I want to initiate the CI pipeline so I can maintain code quality and security with the option to also deploy automatically. And the second one was examine the health of a running pipeline. Again, the statement for this goes as, when running a pipeline for a repository, I want to monitor the performance of jobs or tasks in the pipeline so I can be aware of delays and respond to failures. All right. So what we did after selecting the jobs to be done was we translated them into scenarios, and then we put each one of those scenarios into a GitLab project. So these are the two scenarios slash projects that we had ready for the research activity. Okay. Now, talking about the participants, in total, we had about 7 participants, which constituted of 2 software engineers and 5 developers who identified themselves as DevOps engineers. That means they at least have taken up the responsibility of DevOps engineers, if not the title at their current job. All right. Now, getting to the outcome. So for the first jobs to be done, which was trigger a pipeline, users were provided with the following scenario to complete. So the scenario, it kind of demanded the participants to play a software developer on a large team that uses a monorepo for the project. And they had to assume that there's a CI/CD pipeline which has already been created for the project to streamline the workflow for all the developers who are kind of contributing to the same project. And the next thing that they had to do there was they were provided with a feature branch, with an additional feature branch in the project. And they had to include the changes from that feature branch and make sure it was included in the main branch. And they had to do this while making sure that they leverage the pipeline which has already been created for them. Okay. Now, talking about the score that we achieved for this. So the overall CMS score for this particular scenario, it was pretty high. It was 4.5. That means participants found it pretty convenient and easy to perform this task that was provided to them. And talking about how participant 1 versus 2 reacted to the 3 different set of questions that we had put forward. The first question, it was around the ease of performing the task. So how easy or not easy was it for them to handle this task that was given out to them? And as we can see, it kind of stayed in the zone of 4 to 5. Then the next one was around how they would like to rate the overall user experience around this scenario. And the last one, which is UX Lite, it kind of, through this question, we kind of asked a more a holistic view that they had about the scenario that we have provided. So whether or not they think that the scenario kind of had all the functionalities in place that they required while performing their tasks. And all the overall responses, they stayed in the zone of 4 to 5. Okay, so this was the first JDBD. Now moving on to the next one. So for the second JDBD, which was examine the health of a running pipeline, participants were provided with the following scenario to complete. So in this one, they had to play a DevOps engineer who from time to time has to assist a developer in the team with troubleshooting broken pipelines. And for this particular task here, they were provided with a project ID, so they could just go ahead and start looking at what's wrong with the pipeline and start thinking about or just performing the task of fixing it. And again, as we can see, the score for this particular JDBD was also high. It was 4.4. And now here is a chart showing how different participants reacted to the 3 questions that we asked them. So when it comes to the ease of performing the task, almost everyone found this pretty convenient and easy to perform. Then talking about the overall UX experience, user experience, so 5 out of 5 participants rated it as 4, which means maybe there's some little room for some work to be done there. That's good to know. And finally, for the UX slide, they feel that this scenario did have, at least 2 of the 5 participants feel very strongly about the functionalities that we provided in the scenario for them to perform the task. Okay, so this is the overall score that we have here. Like the first jobs to be done is 4.5, the other one is 4.4. And when we look at how we define maturity in GitLab, we can see that when the CM score is at least 3.95 for the JTBD, we can consider it lovable. But is that what we are going to do for CI? So even though the overall CMS score for the chosen jobs to be done, I would say chosen because we have definitely not looked at all of the JDBDs for CI. We have just picked 2 out of everything that is there. So even though they exceed the average of 4.4, these features, these functionalities, which are kind of which come under these JDBDs, they only represent a very small fraction of the overall value that we intend to provide our users through the GitLab CI feature set. Now, quoting from the blog that you would find in Unfiltered, which is written by Jackie here. So I have included some portions from it, and just to highlight, we already know that GitLab is loved by developers, and this research activity, it kind of proved it, right? So, but there are other areas in Verify that we also need to consider, and those are the places where we need to improve to make GitLab CI lovable to really move towards lovable. So considering the listed factors, these being the factors, so I've also included two other insights from this article. This one says GitLab has some challenges with performance of minimal viable changes, and they're expected to work at a higher finish. And if you want to read further, you can go to this blog. And the other insight says GitLab's visibility into jobs at scale is painful. That means we are not maybe catering well enough to this persona that says Dakota here. That's documented as Dakota in the GitLab roles and personas handbook page. So considering these things, we have decided that while we really appreciate the results from the activity and we are very excited about having scored such high scores here, it should be it should be safe to say that GitLab CI is still complete, and we need some work to do before we can move it to the lovable state. All right, so this was just my thought, and I would love for others to chime in as well here. And in case you want to know more about what is it that we are trying to improve next to take the stage group closer to the next stage in maturity, you can follow this link, which is what's next and why. It will take you to a handbook page that kind of gives a glimpse of what's upcoming, like what's the next thing that we want to work on, and why is it that we have chosen that area to work on. All right, so these were the findings from our CMS research for CI, and feel free to leave your thoughts and even ping me on the issue or over Slack if you want to just have some comment about the whole process. Thank you so much.